They asked for you. So why are they fighting you? Both arms shoot up. The face goes urgent. The body leans towards you with absolute clarity. You pick them up, pull them close, and within a second, their back turns rigid. Their shoulders lock. Their head flies backward, as if the very closeness they asked for has become unbearable. It feels impossible. Maybe they do not know what they want. Maybe they changed their mind the second you touch them. That sounds reasonable. It is also too shallow for what is actually happening, because when a baby between 7 and 12 months reaches to be picked up and then arches away, once they are held close, you are often not watching mixed signals at all. You are watching one small body try to hold two real needs at the same time. Come get me, and do not take away my control. The reach is honest. The arch is honest too. That is why this moment gets under a parent's skin. If the baby cried and pushed you away from the start, the scene would make sense. If the baby melted into your shoulder, that would make sense too. But this is harder, the baby asks clearly. Then your arms become the site of the protest. Adults feel that as contradiction almost immediately. I gave them exactly what they wanted. Why am I suddenly the problem? But babies this age are no longer living in the simpler logic of early infancy, where being held and being regulated often feel like the same event. In the second half of the first year, those two things start to separate. They want you. They also want leverage. By 7 to 12 months, babies are changing fast. Stranger wariness may be emerging. Environmental scanning is stronger. Joint attention is beginning to appear. Expectations are sharper. They know more clearly who their person is, what comfort feels like, and what it means when that person enters the room. But they are also becoming more physical, more intentional, more invested in where their body is pointing and what their eyes can still monitor. That means the request to be picked up is no longer always a request to be folded inward and taken offline from the world. Sometimes it is a request for help, without surrender. This is the part most parents never hear. Adults tend to treat pickup like one thing. Arms up means cuddle. Distress means pull them in tighter. But being picked up is a bundle of changes all at once. The torso gets compressed differently. The head position changes. The visual field narrows or shifts. The baby may lose sight of whatever they were tracking across the room. The inner ear registers motion. The chest meets your chest. Your face gets close. Your smell gets stronger. The pickup solves one problem and creates another. Safety arrives, but freedom drops. The body notices both. Attachment research has been pointing to this for decades. In Ainsworth's observations and the work that followed, babies in the second half of the first year did not use caregivers as simple parking spots. They used them as secure bases. Adults might expect security to look like total inward collapse into the caregiver. But what researchers kept seeing was more dynamic. Babies sought proximity when they needed it, then used that proximity to keep watching, checking, and eventually moving back toward the world. The caregiver was not only a place to disappear into, the caregiver was also a platform. Secure attachment does not erase outwardness. It supports it. That changes the whole opening scene. The baby reaches because the caregiver matters. The baby arches because the body is trying to preserve something else at the same time. Sometimes it is the need to keep the head free and the eyes open to the room. Sometimes it is the need to straighten the trunk instead of being curled inward. Sometimes it is the urge to face outward over your shoulder, not inward against your chest. Sometimes it is simply that the body wants your help without wanting full enclosure. The arch is often a posture problem before it becomes an emotional one. That point matters because adults often narrate the whole moment as psychology. They wanted me and then rejected me. But part of the answer is mechanical. When you pull a baby tightly inward, You change the angle of the spine, the position of the head, the freedom of the arms, and the amount of visual information still available. For a baby this age, those are not small details. They are part of regulation. Some babies settle when folded in, others escalate, because that same position takes away too much access at once. Safety has geometry, and then there is the transition itself. Being lifted is not neutral. The body moves suddenly through space. Vestibular input changes. Pressure across the ribs and stomach changes. The visual horizon changes. If the baby was already dysregulated, the first second of pickup can briefly raise arousal before it lowers it. Adults often judge the hold too early, right at the spike, instead of watching the full arc. The baby reaches. The body is lifted. The body protests the shift. Then, if the hold becomes usable, the system may finally begin to settle. Do not mistake the first jolt for the final answer. Researchers who study infant action and posture found something else important here. Babies are not passive passengers in soothing. Adults often imagine the best regulation as something done to a baby, while the baby yields compliantly. But by this age, babies increasingly participate in arranging the hold itself. They turn, push, straighten, twist, re-angle the trunk, throw the head back to reopen the visual field. These are not always signs of refusing comfort. They are often signs of editing comfort. They are not fighting contact. They are negotiating the format. That is a very different story, because once you see the behavior that way, the arch stops looking like nonsense and starts looking like feedback. Not no, not never mind. More like pick me up, but not chest crushed. Hold me, but let me see. Keep me close, but do not lock my whole body down. Help me regulate without taking away every bit of agency I still have. For a grown nervous system, that negotiation happens through words and micro adjustments. For a baby, it happens through torque, stiffness, pushing, twisting, and urgent body edits. The body is saying more than the cry can. This is also why parents sometimes make the moment worse. By loving harder, the baby reaches, then arches, and the adult assumes the answer must be more security. So they pull the baby in tighter. They hold the torso more firmly. They press the head inward. The intention is protective. The effect can be the opposite. If the baby is protesting the loss of movement, sightline, or postural control inside the hold, then more containment can raise the alarm instead of lowering it. The baby stiffens harder. The adult grips tighter. Both nervous systems start escalating each other. More closeness is not always more usable closeness. Caregiver responsiveness research keeps returning to the same truth. Soothing works best when the adult responds not only to the category of need, but to the shape of that need in the moment. An adult may hear one message, comfort me, but the baby may be sending something more precise. Lift me, turn me, loosen your hold. Let my back straighten. Let me face outward. Give me your shoulder instead of your chest. The better the adult reads that shape, the faster the interaction becomes workable. Responsive holding beats generic holding. This is where the behavior becomes more beautiful, not less. The baby who reaches and then arches is not necessarily impossible to satisfy. The baby may be learning something very sophisticated. Another person can be influenced. Another person can change the way closeness is delivered. Another person can become safer, not just by appearing, but by adjusting. That is not manipulation. That is early social problem solving inside attachment. This is how closeness starts growing edges. And that matters developmentally. Because the second half of the first year is not only about wanting the caregiver more, it is also about wanting a more active role in how the caregiver helps. The baby is not just discovering that comfort exists. The baby is discovering that comfort can be shaped, not with language yet, not with negotiation in the adult sense, but with very clear bodily edits. Turn me this way. Support me here. Do not block that. Keep me close enough to regulate and free enough to stay oriented. The arch is often the price of a more complex yes. That is the deeper reframe. Your baby did not want you, and then stop wanting you 3 seconds later. Your baby may have wanted rescue and agency. At the same time, wanted safety and visibility, wanted your body and their own. Those are not opposite needs in a dramatic sense. They are two growth lines crossing in the same nervous system. Attachment is getting stronger. Control over the body is getting stronger too. And both of them show up in your arms. On its own, a baby reaching to be picked up and then arching away does not usually mean something is wrong. Many babies in this age range show exactly this mix of wanting contact and protesting the way contact is delivered. Every child develops on their own timeline. But if the arching is very frequent, intensely rigid, consistently paired with feeding pain, repeated vomiting, obvious discomfort after eating, breath holding, or seems driven by clear physical pain rather than state, it may be worth raising with a pediatric professional. Not because one arch is alarming, but because patterns matter more than isolated moments. The deeper truth here is bigger than they wanted me and then changed their mind. A baby between 7 and 12 months is not only learning how to get comfort, they are learning how to shape it. They are learning that another person can help, but that help works best when it matches the body they are in right now. Not just attachment, but calibration. Not just rescue, but negotiation. Not just being held, but discovering how closeness can make room for agency. So the next time your baby lifts both arms to be picked up and then stiffens, twists, or throws their head backward, once you bring them close, do not read the old story too quickly. Do not assume they rejected you. Watch the whole sequence. Watch the reach. Watch the arch. Watch what their body seems to be asking you to change. This is not a strange little contradiction. This is development happening in real time. They are not pulling you in and pushing you away because they are impossible to satisfy. They are learning how to tell another person what kind of closeness their nervous system can actually use.